Welcome to another edition of Smalltalk for you. This morning I wanted to continue looking at some of the basics of ObjectStudio 8. And to get started, what we'll do is just look at some of the common development tools. Now, if you haven't used ObjectStudio in a while, you're going to be a little surprised by this one. If I go to the class browser, you're going to see something that looks like a class browser, but is not like an ObjectStudio class browser if you go back to 7. Of course, this has been the case since ObjectStudio 8 came out. This is the VisualWorks browser, but of course it's ObjectStudio. You see here base ObjectStudio and all the code there. You also see a bunch of stuff that looks like it's from VisualWorks, and that's because ObjectStudio is now built on the core of Cincom Smalltalk, which they're calling all of this code here. And VisualWorks is also built on the same core. So you have the ObjectStudio specific parts here. If you were to bring up VisualWorks, you'd see the base VisualWorks parts here. You also see, of course, base VisualWorks because you need that for all the underlying stuff. So ObjectStudio is built on top of that now, and that's what you see in the browser. So all of your code that you're familiar with from ObjectStudio will be found in this bundle here. And for bundles and packages, I'd refer you to other screencasts I've done in the past because this is all going to be very similar. That's the browser. I can go through this in detail, but I've done other screencasts on that. Let's go to another tool here. If we go to the workspace, this one's an ObjectStudio specific tool, but it has brought in some improvements. So if I go here and do something like foo:1, and I just do Smalltalk inspect, I of course get what I want here. I have an inspector, which is the VisualWorks inspector. If I go here, you see that I can get a little workspace down here. This is not this same workspace though. This is a VisualWorks workspace. So there's a little dichotomy here that you should be aware of, but they work very similarly. The main difference is that if I go over here, you can now find that I've got workspace variables will pop up in a separate little tool, an inspector, whereas if you were in VisualWorks, there's a tab for that. So the tools work pretty much the same, but again, slight variances in the way they operate. But that's the workspace over there. The inspector will be the VisualWorks one, except when it's displaying some ObjectStudio specific things, depending. So we'll get to that at some point in the future, perhaps. And the browser is the standard VisualWorks one. There are a lot of other tools to get started with. We're not going to go through those today. I just kind of wanted to brush over the surface of some of the baseline tools you'd see when you start the application up. So that's about it for today. Until next time, have fun with whatever Smalltalk you're using.